Welcome to my presentation for the K-12 online conference, Writing. It's all about collaboration and sharing. My name is David Wells. I'm the principal of Underhill ID Elementary School in Jericho, Vermont, USA. And I think this is an exciting time to be teaching. In the United States, we're looking at the Common Core state standards in most of our states. I think it's exciting because many parts of these standards align very closely with technology integration standards that we are already used to, like 21st century skills standards and the ISTE standards for students. When new standards come into play for any school organization, you can often imagine that there is sometimes controversy. But I really don't think that there is reason to protest the standards, because as I said, these standards allow us to teach skills that we already know are important and allow us to use technology tools to integrate digital age learning into our current practices. I think it's important to think about how standards work and what they're really expecting of us. And let me talk about that for a moment. Let's say that we had a standard that said high school students should be able to surf by the end of 12th grade. Well, that's a really high standard. And maybe that standard would be mentioned in the 12th grade curriculum, or the 12th grade standards, rather. Well, it wouldn't mean, though, that you would start thinking about surfing and you would start surfing itself in 12th grade. There are standards that would lead up to this. It would start in the early grades, in kindergarten and first grade, where you would start learning how to swim. The standards would expect that first graders would be able to learn how to swim. And then there must be an intermediate step. You might have a standard that would say freshmen in high school should be able to surf on smaller waves. And this would all lead up to high school students meeting the standard of being able to surf the big waves by 12th grade. And we don't actually have standards for surfing. That would be interesting. I'm sure our high school students would like it, but not all of us have an ocean nearby. Let's think about standards in one other way before I talk about standards for writing. Think about standards as mile markers to your destination. So if your standard or your goal is to get to California, you need a way to get there. The standard says you need to get to California, but you need a roadmap to help you get there. Your roadmap is your curriculum. Standards are open. Sure, they have common expectations, but we get to design our curriculum. Each school or each school district in states across the country and in schools around the world get to design how they will meet the standards. Let's take a look at a standard for writing. Common Core Standard for Writing, Grade 7, Standard 6, Production and Distribution of Writing. Use technology, including the internet, to produce and publish writing and to link to and cite sources, as well as to interact and collaborate with others, including linking to and citing sources. Let's break this standard down a little bit and see how it is very similar to standards that we're already used to. The standard is asking us to use technology to produce and to publish writing, to interact and collaborate with others. This just begs for us to use open tools and to be collaborative. Let's take a look at an ISTE standard that is similar to this Common Core standard. ISTE standards for students, communication and collaboration. Students use digital media and environments to communicate and work collaboratively, including at a distance, to support individual learning and to contribute to the learning of others. Sounds very similar to the Common Core standard. This ISTE standard has been in place for years, so you can see how the Common Core standards actually reinforce things that we've already been teaching. Let's take a look at this ISTE standard a little bit more closely. Students use digital media to communicate and work collaboratively and to contribute to the learning of others. You can see how this ISTE standard would align so closely with the Common Core standards, and it talks about communication and collaboration. Not all of the Common Core standards explicitly ask teachers to use technology. Take this literacy standard, for example. It asks students to analyze various accounts of a subject told in different mediums, determining which details are emphasized in each account. exactly asking students to use technology, but you could watch videos with your students. You could have students create videos, listen to audio files. You can see how using technology and open tools can help students reach this standard. Now, I'd like to show you some examples of teachers actually teaching to the Common Core. This first example is from Pam Block, a 3rd and 4th grade teacher and my elementary school teacher, who is supported by Joanne Finnegan, a technology integration teacher in our district. And they're going to talk about how they use Google tools to have students conduct research.
Hi, I'm Pam Block. I teach 3-4 multi-age at Underhill ID School.
I'm Joanne Finnegan. I'm the Technology Integration Specialist for the Supervisory Union K-8 part of the district.
So last year, we started working on integrating Common Core content work with writing. Our topic was biomes, so the children all had a choice of which biome or habitat in the world they'd like to research. We wanted to integrate research skills, technology skills, and writing skills. The ultimate project was a brochure, a triple fold, like a travel brochure, to get people to want to go to their biome. They also had to write a paragraph or two, an actual paragraph writing to show also what they learned in a paragraph form.
And we introduced Google Docs last year for the first time to these students in grade 3 and 4. I found that really helpful for the kids. It took us a while to find a template that would work well. We ended up choosing Google Presentation as the template for the brochures. But the best part was being able to use the research tool so that they could look up free-to-use pictures and teaching them about citing their resources and using appropriate pictures without breaking copyright. And then, of course, we had the ability to comment and make comments to them. We could go in and look at their brochures as they worked on them and just put comments in so they could work independently responding to that.
Some of the children even worked at home, which is another advantage of Google Docs. We also, as a great collaboration piece, our librarian and Joanne worked to pull together resources, so we had links for the children to be able to find the information they needed that we knew were good children's research and also safe places for them to search. And we were able to come up with a variety of 5 or 6 different sites for each biome. And so the process was, the children once or twice a week, we would go into Google Docs. They would do whatever research they could. They'd copy. I guess that they didn't even actually take notes on Google Docs. Did they? Some of them did take notes on Google Docs. And we had a template. As I said, we had certain things they had to follow. They had to include directions on how to get there, what type of climate it had. They had to have some maps, a world map and a map of the actual continent the biome was on. They had to research one animal and one plant that was specific to the biome and give more in-depth information on it. I think one of the cool things was that the kids were really excited because they chose the biome and they could choose their animal and they could choose the plant that they wanted to do. So there was a lot more invested interest in doing the project.
And it was meeting a lot of the Common Core standards of reading informational text. It wasn't necessarily a short research project, but pieces of it were short research. So they got to read the informational text and use the technology pieces of the Common Core to be finding good information.
I'd like to show you a middle school example as well. Joyce Babbitt is the librarian at Browns River Middle School in Jericho, Vermont, USA, and she had her students write and collaborate with students from around the globe.
Hi, I'm Joyce Babbitt at Browns River Middle School here in Jericho, Vermont, and I would love to share with you today a little bit about our creative writing class called Global Think, Write, and Share. We are connected with 2 schools in Italy and in Pennsylvania. We're doing a little bit of letter writing at this moment in time. Our kids have been corresponding with each other through ePals and edmodo.com. And these are ways that our kids are connecting with other students in the United States as well as in Sardinia, Italy. We have also a really neat project going on called Book Creator Project, and this is where our students are writing stories of friendships. This friendship story is something that they're developing, so I'm going to show you a couple of examples of this. First one is done by a student named Charlotte, so I've asked her to do a story outline. I talk a little bit about Pixar and how they have a simple story structure. Ask the kids to be thinking about their character and to think about their story and how it's resolved. At that point, our students begin to draw and outline their stories, and this is Charlotte's developing idea, and she'll go to the computer and she'll draft out how it's going to be written. At that point, once she has her third draft, she'll take her iPad and she'll go to an app called Book Creator. When she gets to Book Creator, she'll have lots of options to format her new book. She can do a portrait, square, or landscape. And I've asked the kids to write a book that's 10 to 12 pages that they can share with their pals in Pennsylvania and Sardinia. And so we look forward to sharing that with our students in late October. We'll also begin writing a second letter to their pals to respond back and forth. And then we'll go into our last two projects, which are broadcasting news as well as claymation.
I hope you can see how standards allow us to support the skills that we already knew were important, allow students to collaborate, allow students to communicate and work with others. The Common Core standards, or whichever standards you use in your school, don't lock us down. They don't have to lock us down. They allow us to teach in collaborative and creative ways. And they also allow us to use collaborative teaching tools. Not any one particular tool is a Common Core tool. You get to choose. I want to thank you for watching my presentation, and I hope you saw how Common Core standards, or the standards that affect your school district, allow you to be creative and collaborative with your students. If you'd like to learn more about Common Core standards, if you'd like more resources on open tools to accomplish these standards, please visit my website. Thanks again for watching.